Today, I'm doing two really simple things in my garden that I used to overlook. First, I'm going to reuse some eggshells. And second, I'm giving my pepper plant a bigger pot because it's clearly starting to outgrow the old one. Let's start with the eggshells. Whenever I use eggs at home, I usually save the shells instead of throwing them away. I rinse them well and let them dry completely. And this part is important. If the shells are still damp, they tend to stick together when you try to crush or blend them. Once they're completely dry, I put them into a blender and crush them into small pieces. They don't have to become a super fine powder. I just want them small enough to mix into the soil more easily. Eggshells contain calcium, so I like using a small amount as a simple way to reuse kitchen waste in my garden. But let's be clear, eggshells are not some magic fertilizer. Don't throw a huge pile into your pot and expect your plant to double in size overnight. I see this more as a little extra for the soil, and a way to put something that would normally go into the trash to good use. Now let's talk about the pepper plant. Take a look at this pot. When I first planted it, this pot was perfectly fine, but the plant has grown quite a bit. The leaves are spreading out, the plant is getting bigger, and the pot? Still exactly the same size. That's something that's really easy to overlook when growing plants in containers. We usually look at the part above the soil. If the leaves are green and the plant looks healthy, we assume everything is fine. But underneath the soil, the roots are growing too. And eventually, the plant simply needs more room. So today, I decided it was time for a bigger home. I prepared a larger pot and added some fresh, well-draining soil. Then I carefully removed the pepper plant from its old pot. I try not to pull too hard here. If the plant is healthy, there's no reason to rush and damage the roots. I gently loosen the sides, tip the pot over, and slowly work the root ball out. And there it is. Once I see the roots, I know I made the right decision. They've already filled quite a bit of the old space, so I place the plant right in the center of the new pot and start filling in around it with soil. I don't pack the soil down too hard, just enough to keep the plant stable while still leaving the soil loose. And honestly, look at the difference. The plant finally has some room to breathe. Now it's time for those crushed eggshells. I sprinkle a small amount over the surface of the soil, keeping it away from the base of the stem. Then I gently mix it into the top layer. Nothing crazy. And this is probably the kind of gardening hack I enjoy the most. Using what I already have instead of buying something new every time. These eggshells came from a meal in my kitchen. Now they're going back into my garden. But again, I'm not relying on eggshells to feed the entire plant. A healthy plant still needs good soil, proper watering, enough sunlight, and regular care. A little gardening hack is just that, a little hack. It doesn't replace everything else. Finally, I give the plant a gentle watering. And after repotting, I'm not going to immediately throw a bunch of fertilizer at it. I'm just going to let it settle in. That's another thing I've learned from growing plants. Sometimes the best thing you can do is stop messing with them. If the plant looks a little stressed after being moved, I don't immediately panic. I watch it, I check the soil, I make sure it gets the right amount of light, and then I give it some time. So, those are my two little gardening hacks for today. Eggshells. Rinse them, dry them completely, crush them, and use a small amount in the soil. Growing plants in containers, don't just watch the leaves above the soil. Pay attention to the size of the pot and give the roots enough room as the plant grows. Not every gardening trick works perfectly for every plant or every garden. I like to try things, watch what happens, and keep the methods that actually make sense for my plants. And now, I'm leaving this pepper plant alone for a while. Hopefully, when I come back in a few weeks, I'll see a bigger, healthier plant covered in peppers. And if anything interesting happens, I'll be back to show you. because sometimes gardening doesn't have to be complicated. Use what you have, pay attention to your plants, and learn as you go.